What's good, internet? I am once again, I am the angry philosopher on drugs. Would have liked to have recorded this morning, but I had a train trip to take halfway across the city, and with my health, that's a thing. So, bit of R&R post trip, and now here I am. Last night, a debate took place in Town Hall, Sydney, with the one, the only Dr. Christina Hoff Sommers, writer, scholar, author, YouTuber. Is there anything she can't do? Yes, she can't walk on stage without getting heckled by a bunch of overgrown, tantrum throwing children. She debated the bad feminist Roxane Gay, and in some ways, I'm glad I didn't make it there. In other ways, of course, I am still heartbroken. Now, um, having having watched a lot of the reviews or read a lot of the reviews on Twitter, including this one thread which is just blowing up from this amazing young woman who said she went in identifying as feminist and left leaning and came out with a crisis of faith, and she really analysed the content and tone of the debate so well and articulated why she came away with a crisis of faith. And it's mostly because Roxane Gay was coming across as very aggressive, dismissive, etc., etc., and Dr. Sommers, as always, was calm, collected, well articulated, and simply uh, led the conversation and particularly drew attention to the plight of women in the Middle East, something that Roxane Gay was not prepared to really commit on. All that aside, the reason I want to comment on this was the behavior of the audience. It's something that absolutely frustrates the ever loving shit out of me. These people went into the town hall and started laughing and carrying on and actually stamping their feet to try and drown out Dr. Summers' voice whenever she would get up to speak. Now, you have to keep in mind, as I just said, they paid money to do this. Who is going to shell out between, I don't know, 70 up to 200 plus dollars to hear one person speak and then try and drown out the other person? The audacity, it's mental masturbation, is what it is. They went in there to give their brain and their sense of morality a good jerking off. Pardon the vulgarity, but that's really what else are you going to do? If three of those useless dickheads had just donated their money to someone else, oh, I don't know, just someone who actually wanted to go and listen to the ideas, they could have actually sat down with both the academics afterwards in the meet and greet and tried to approach some of the ideas a little more critically, one on one. I don't know, maybe discuss philosophy of language as it applies to gender, which, oh, I don't know, is something that whether you're a liberal feminist or a more conservative classic liberal feminist or postmodern liberal feminist, that's a good distinction. I think I'm going to keep that. It's something that it still applies to both, and both will have an opinion on. But it gets down again to this mentality, and it's something that good old Uncle Jordan Peterson writes about. I think it's rule 7 or 8 out of 12, that you should always assume the person you're talking to knows something that you don't. Of course, Jordan Peterson is literally Hitler and apparently contributed to the Christchurch massacre, so what the fuck do I know? But there's two main reasons why this sort of behavior is just unacceptable, and also foolish. It's, what's the word? David used it all the time in Proverbs, or no, Ecclesiastes. Folly. It's fucking folly. They There are two reasons you should always be listening and listening charitable to someone you disagree with, even if their views are, in your opinion, morally disgusting. If someone walked in the door and said, I actually think Hitler was onto something, let's take all the races that aren't white and murder the shit out of them. Now let's take half the races that are white, murder the shit out of them as well, because we only want the Aryans. I'd be like, wow, that's disgusting. Sit down, tell me more, for two reasons. One, they may know something I don't. In the case of pro-Aryan dickwad, yeah, probably not. But hey, I could learn something. In the case of Dr. Sommers, yeah, I think there's a lot that people who went to watch her could have learnt. I don't know, stuff about rape statistics, stuff about the pay gap, the earnings gap, not the pay gap. But the second and more importantly one, and this is where my imaginary neo-Nazi comes to mind, and where these people going to see Christine Hoff Sommers thinking she is a literal Hitler apologist comes to mind. If someone is genuinely wrong and holds a position you find morally reprehensible, is it not your duty, if you're going to claim the moral high ground, to try and reach them and show them a better way? And if you're going to reach them, you need to be able to reach where they are, mentally, emotionally. You need to be able to put yourself in their shoes. Oh, there's a word for it. What's it called? Oh yeah, empathy. It's what human beings are supposed to have unless they're sociopaths. You need to be able to put yourself in their shoes so that you can direct them from where they are to where you want them to be. Now, if you can't sit down and listen to all the nuances of their argument, you cannot get yourself into their shoes. And if you're not there to learn from them and or help them to a better place, the fuck are you there for? Again, you're just there for the mental masturbation of going, I am so much better than this person. Well, guess what? If you have that mental spot, no, you're not. At least they're trying. At least they're trying to articulate their argument and reach the other person. Fuck off. Unfortunately, Dr. Sommers is on her way down to Melbourne. Melbourne is the California of Australia. I know I tweeted about this earlier, and Dr. Sommers even saw that. My hero, have a bottle of white wine ready. I think if you thought Sydney was bad, if you're going to Melbourne, you ain't seen nothing yet. But yeah, I think there's multiple reasons why misbehaving in the audience, and this goes for all of the conservative speakers who have been drowned out, all those morons at UCLA and Berkeley and Brown and all that, that moron with the cowbell dancing in front of the projector. You're actually stifling the argument. You're not just blocking the... Okay, so fun fact, chronic pain, I learned to block out the pain, but in that area that I don't realize I'm in pain, I start babbling. And that's a sign that I need to stop this video, maybe go take a hot shower, add some extra painkillers on, and I will see you guys at a later stage. Knock 'em dead, Christina Hoff Sommers.